The victory secured by Charles Leclerc on the streets of Monte Carlo in the Monte Carlo Grand Prix highlighted one of the many strengths of the SF-24 single-seater. At low speeds, the Ferrari appears to be the car that best handles curbs and surface irregularities with a natural ease that is envied by Red Bull and McLaren. Thus, the choices made by Ferrari on the 2024 car, initially met with skepticism at the time of its presentation back in February, now take on new significance. In Monte Carlo, Red Bull struggled with poor agility over curbs and bumps, with a limited ability to deal with surface irregularities, as confirmed by Max Verstappen himself, who pointed out at the end of the race that in the second sector, the Austrian side were in bad shape as they couldn't touch the curbs without the car getting unsettled and losing a lot of time. The Red Bull technicians tried softening and stiffening, but the car was like a go-kart. It bounced a lot. It didn't absorb any curbs, bumps, or changes in slope. A similar dynamic emerged the previous week in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at the Imola circuit, but with a difference. In Max Verstappen's hands, the RB20 aggressively attacked the curbs of the fast Tamburello chicane, eliciting envy even from Charles Leclerc, only to become unsettled in slower sections like Variante Alta. It seems that after a jump, the Red Bull stabilizes with a large vertical force, whether it's the weight of a full fuel tank or the aerodynamic load at high speeds. A small confirmation comes from the better pace Max Verstappen manages to express in the early stages of the race. In Monte Carlo, McLaren also encountered a similar problem. Team principal Andrea Stella admitted that it doesn't seem like McLaren can achieve the same behavior over bumps and curbs as other cars. Their drivers were clear that other cars can attack the curbs more easily, and on a track like Monaco, it makes quite a difference. The team principal's words indirectly refer to Ferrari. The victory of the prancing horse in the Monaco Grand Prix was somewhat unexpected, considering that slow corners remain a weak point of the SF-24 compared to direct competition. However, the Ferrari showcased enviable stability over curbs and through the city streets of Monte Carlo, thanks also to the suspension philosophy. In particular, the suspension design is a matter of compromise between three aspects: size and impact on local airflow, stabilization of ride heights and vehicle posture, kinematics, and mechanical grip. During the presentation of the SF-24, Italian aerodynamicist and Ferrari technical director Enrico Cardile emphasized this aspect, highlighting how much the Maranello team had taken into consideration the compliance of the suspension, that is, its movements and the absorption of bumps. He highlighted that the Italian side had thoroughly considered this aspect. Enrico Cardile noted that for their goals and flow management, they had found a good compromise with the current suspension layout, balancing aerodynamic performance and suspension compliance. Symbolic is the unconventional choice of the Ferrari engineers to focus on a new concept rear pull rod suspension compared to the push rod of the competition, which is more favorable for the circulation of flows in the gearbox area. It is not a matter of recognizing the superiority of one system over the other, but the different choice indicates that the objectives were also different. Technical director Enrico Cardile explained that switching from pull rod to push rod did not present any benefits that would justify the compromise in terms of weight and compliance. This indicates that Ferrari, in its design compromise, has given significant consideration to the mechanical behavior of the rear end. This focus was confirmed a few months ago to race car engineering by Andrea Di Zordo, technical director of the Haas customer team, who noted that Ferrari's design takes the suspension's mechanical behavior more into account. The merits of the Maranello suspension system do not stop there. Current Formula One cars are based on ground effect, exploiting the aerodynamic interaction between the floor and the ground to generate downforce. To make the best use of this interaction, it becomes a priority to perfectly control the ride height during driving, where even a single millimeter can make a difference. This is something British car designer Adrian Newey was perfectly aware of, dedicating himself especially to the suspensions during his last years at Red Bull. In the past 2 years, the world champions have been the best at stabilizing ride heights during driving, also managing to collapse the rear end at high speeds to induce partial diffuser stall, gaining speed on straights. However, according to Automotor und Sport journalist and Formula One expert Michael Schmidt, in 2023, the competition has achieved similar mastery, including Mercedes, Ferrari, and the customer Racing Bulls, which now mounts updated Red Bull mechanics. Michael Schmidt also reports that Ferrari today has even better ride height control than the original Red Bull. This is partly due to the new internal mechanics, with the switch from cup springs to heavier torsion bars, crucial for achieving greater precision in ride heights. Once again, Enrico Cardile's comments from last February provide a small confirmation. He explained that the rear suspension mechanics are positioned differently within the transmission box, marking a new concept and an innovation for Ferrari compared to their previous methods of suspension management. The advantages of this new mechanical design will be particularly beneficial in Montreal, where effectively absorbing bumps and curbs will be a central concern. However, Ferrari is actually reported to be considering a fundamental change to its chassis design philosophy that the team had previously ruled out. The squad is said to be looking into switching to the pull rod front suspension already used by Red Bull and McLaren, which gives aerodynamic advantages by improving airflow around the front of the car and the channels underneath. That would need a complete overhaul of the existing chassis and could open the door to changing the driver position and improving weight distribution, changes that would feed into the 2026 car when new rules come into effect. The cost cap means that the team has to be careful about where it spends its resources in a way that will have the biggest impact, not just on the current season, but on next year and beyond. Team principal Fred Vasseur noted that part of the team is working on updates for this season, while another portion is already focused on next year. The team has also started development on the 2025 car. Additionally, work on the 2026 power unit began some time ago. Regarding the chassis and aerodynamics, they can only hypothesize a few concepts at this stage, as the regulations have not yet been agreed upon. Teams also are expected to bring modified rear wings to the next two races, a low-drag version for the upcoming Canadian Grand Prix at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, and one designed for medium-speed circuits for in the Spanish Grand Prix weekend at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. But finding any big improvements is becoming more and more difficult. Ferrari is additionally the only manufacturer on the grid currently using a pull rod rear suspension system, although customer team Haas uses the same approach. Yet Ferrari bosses believe changing this element would have little impact. Ferrari technical director Enrico Cardile explained that their rear suspension differs in terms of top and lower wishbone distribution compared to Red Bull's setup, and they have recorded good aerodynamic results with this configuration. Such discussions have added to speculation that the man to oversee this major overhaul could be British engineer Adrian Newey, who has recently announced his exit from Red Bull, where he pioneered many race-winning aerodynamic enhancements. Adrian Newey has not confirmed what he will do starting with the 2025 championship, but in the past has expressed a desire to move to Maranello and work alongside seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton as the crowning moment of his Formula One career.